hope. No hope. That's the next generation.
Michael Jackson, the king of pop, an eternal legend who lit up stages across the globe. But behind the flashing lights, behind the moonwalk, something was hidden. A medical mystery no one dared to fully confront. Until AI stepped in. Number 1. AI Discovery. It started with a test. A new AI tool built to scan medical records, designed to help doctors save time, spot trends, and process thousands of notes in seconds. But when scientists fed Michael Jackson's files into the system, something unexpected happened. The AI didn't skim. It didn't get tired. It read every single word. Doctor scribbles, abbreviations, scattered test results, oxygen charts no one bothered to revisit. For humans, they were random fragments. For the AI, they became puzzle pieces. Piece by piece, it built a picture. A picture so sharp, so undeniable, it made the room fall silent. The AI noticed what doctors missed: repeated numbers, patterns buried in years of data, tiny drops in oxygen, brief notes about sleepless nights, scribbled mentions of breathing difficulties. Alone, they looked harmless. Together, they formed a chilling rhythm. One scientist whispered, "It's like there was a melody playing in the data all along. We just never listened." And that was the breakthrough. AI transformed lifeless symbols into a living story. Michael's hidden medical reality. Number 2. The sleep struggle. Michael Jackson didn't just have trouble sleeping. He was locked in a nightly war with his own body. The AI uncovered a frightening pattern. Every time Michael drifted off, his breathing turned unstable. His oxygen levels would suddenly drop, then bounce back. Drop, bounce back, again and again. To most doctors, these fluctuations looked minor. A quick dip, a short recovery. Nothing unusual in the chaos of medical charts. But the AI saw something deeper. It noticed the repetition, the rhythm, the way the numbers lined up night after night. This wasn't random. It was a hidden cycle, a silent alarm going off every time Michael closed his eyes. Imagine the graph. Jagged blue lines of oxygen saturation. Each dip like a gasp for air. Each rebound like a desperate fight to survive. This was the truth. Michael was suffering from a dangerous sleep disorder. One that left his body starved for oxygen. One that made every night a high-risk gamble. And what made it worse? The more exhausted he became, the harder it was for him to sleep naturally. So he turned to medication. Medication that offered rest, but also carried risk. The AI connected the dots humans missed. The sleepless nights, the oxygen crashes, the mounting fragility of a man who looked immortal on stage, but was crumbling in silence. This wasn't just insomnia. It was a battle between life and breath. A battle Michael never told the world about. Number 3, sensitivity to medication. If the sleep struggle was the first warning, Michael's reaction to medication was the second, more terrifying one. The AI uncovered something chilling. Michael's body didn't follow the medical rulebook. For most patients, drugs like lorazepam or propofol behave predictably. A dose has a standard effect. Safe, controlled, manageable. But Michael was different. His body magnified the danger. The AI compared his reactions with millions of other cases in its database, and the result was crystal clear. For him, a normal dose wasn't normal at all. It was multiplied 2, even 3 times stronger. Why? Because his body carried hidden vulnerabilities. Dehydration altered how drugs spread through his system. Repeated infusions left tiny scars under his skin. Those scars absorbed medication unevenly, causing sudden spikes of concentrated drug in his bloodstream. To a doctor glancing at the chart, it looked routine. But the AI's analysis painted a darker picture. Every injection was like rolling dice. One night, it might calm him. The next, the same dose could push him over the edge. One scientist stared at the chart and whispered, "This dosage is safe for most people, but for him, it was a loaded gun." And here's the heartbreak. Michael never knew. He trusted the medicine. He trusted the routine. But his body betrayed him in silence. AI showed the truth that no one realized in time. Michael's system wasn't fragile just because of exhaustion. It was fragile because his unique sensitivity turned medical help into hidden danger. Every shot, every infusion, a risk disguised as relief. Number 4, the perfect storm. And then came that night. The night when every silent warning collided. The night when Michael's fragile system finally gave way. The AI reconstructed it all, second by second. Not gossip, not speculation, pure data. On the screen, 3 lines appeared. 3 curves glowing in the dark. The blue curve, oxygen levels. The red curve, medication dosage. The white line, heart rate. At first, it looked like chaos. Numbers jumping up and down, curves twisting, crossing, colliding. But then the AI aligned them, and the chaos turned into a pattern, a chain reaction that couldn't be stopped. Hours before the final moment, the blue oxygen line had already started to falter. Michael's body was running on the edge of oxygen deficiency. Low, recover, drop, recover. Like a drowning man gasping at the surface, then slipping under again. Then came the injection. Propofol. Not an outrageous dose. Not the kind of reckless overdose people whispered about in tabloids. But for Michael's hypersensitive system, it was the final push. The red line spiked. At the same instant, the blue oxygen curve plunged. And then, the white heart rate line began to stutter. A rhythm interrupted. The final drumbeat of a body losing its fight. The AI marked the moment with a red dot, one single point where all 3 curves collapsed together. The scientists froze. They weren't looking at abstract numbers anymore. They were staring at the exact second Michael Jackson's body shut down. One doctor whispered, "This wasn't just about the drug. It was oxygen instability. It was hypersensitivity. It was lack of monitoring. 3 dominoes falling in a row." That was the truth. If only one factor had been present, he might have survived. Just oxygen trouble? His body might have recovered. Just medication? The dosage could have been adjusted. Just poor monitoring? A nurse could have stepped in. But all 3 collided at once. A perfect storm. And once it began, there was no way out. The room of scientists fell silent. Some covered their faces. Others just stared at the red dot on the screen, as if it were a wound that would never heal. That dot wasn't just data. It was the very minute the King of Pop slipped away, swept into a cascade of errors no one caught in time. Number 5, Michael's final whisper. The screen went dark. The graphs stopped flickering, but in that silence something lingered. The scientists couldn't move. Because what they had just witnessed wasn't just medicine. It wasn't just numbers. It was the final breath of a man the world thought was untouchable. That red dot on the chart, it wasn't data. It was a heartbeat. It was a cry. It was Michael's last whisper. The AI had no emotion. It didn't dramatize, didn't speculate. It simply showed the truth. But when the researchers looked at those lines, oxygen falling, heart rate breaking, the drug curve spiking, they didn't see charts anymore. They saw a life unraveling. One doctor, specializing in sleep, broke the silence. "This isn't just data," he said softly. "It's like music." His body was still singing, even in silence. And suddenly, everyone in the room felt it. Michael Jackson, a man who gave the world melodies that will never die, had left behind one final unfinished song. Not in a studio, not on a stage, but in the fragile rhythms of his failing body. The rise of his heartbeat was a drum, the oxygen drops, a broken melody, the medication spikes, harsh notes in a symphony gone wrong. And then, the silence, the last abrupt chord of a masterpiece cut short. For years, fans had sung, "You Are Not Alone," but in that moment, the irony was devastating. Because in his final struggle, Michael truly was alone, surrounded by silence, his cries buried in data no one ever bothered to hear. And that's the bitter paradox. An artist who lived his life through music, whose voice carried across continents, had his final song trapped in medical records. A song no one listened to until an emotionless machine finally gave it voice. The scientists bowed their heads, not just in sorrow, but in shame, because the AI had heard what humanity ignored. Michael's final whisper. Number 6, the human truth. The AI gave us numbers, but behind those numbers was a person. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. To the world, he was unstoppable. The moonwalk, the glove, the sold-out arenas, a man who seemed immortal under the spotlight. But offstage, he was fragile. He was human. The records told a truth the tabloids never cared about. The sleepless nights, the oxygen crashes, the way his body reacted to medicine like a ticking time bomb. He wasn't invincible. He was exhausted. He was vulnerable. He was alone. And that's the paradox that cuts so deep. The same man who could electrify millions with a single dance move was quietly fighting a battle just to sleep. For fans, Michael was a superhero. But for doctors in those files, he was just another patient. A patient whose whispers were ignored. And here's the heartbreaking truth. His medical data didn't lie. It didn't gossip. It didn't sensationalize. It told the story of a man carrying too much weight. The weight of fame, the weight of prejudice, the weight of being a black artist in a world that judged him more harshly than others. And when you add that crushing pressure to a fragile body, you get tragedy. The AI didn't set out to tell a story, but in its cold, honest way, it revealed the most human story of all. Michael Jackson, not the superstar, not the icon, but the man who just wanted peace, the man whose body was crying for help in numbers no one read. That's the human truth. Behind the glitter, the music, and the moonwalk was a soul desperately trying to hold it all together. When the scientists walked away from that room, they didn't just carry sorrow, they carried a warning. Because Michael's story wasn't just about him, it was about all of us. Medical data is more than charts, numbers, or scribbles in a file. It's a voice, it's a whisper, it's the human body speaking in its own secret language. And in Michael's case, those whispers were screaming, but no one heard them. Not in time. That's the danger. We live in a world drowning in information. Test results, monitor readings, doctor's notes. But when we stop listening closely, people slip through the cracks. AI, for all its coldness, did what humans couldn't. It listened. It connected the dots. It uncovered the cries that had been buried in plain sight. But here's the tragedy. It came too late. Michael didn't need technology after the fact. He needed someone to hear him while he was still alive. And that's the lesson. We can't wait for machines to find the truth after the ending. We have to learn to listen now. Doctors, families, friends, all of us. We have to look past the surface. We have to treat data as more than numbers. We have to treat it as life. Because behind every file is a person. Behind every test result is a soul. Behind every statistic is a story, waiting to be heard. And sometimes, that story belongs to a legend. A man who gave the world music that will live forever, but whose final song was ignored until it was too late. Michael Jackson's legacy isn't just his art. It's this reminder. Even the greatest among us are human. Even the strongest can fall if their whispers are overlooked. So the next time you see data, don't just read it. Listen to it. Hear the whispers. Because one life saved before the silence is worth more than any discovery after it. That's the lesson Michael left behind. A final gift. A warning wrapped in tragedy. And a plea for us to never ever ignore the quiet cries of a human being again.